Welcome back to the Word Expanded. The Gospels. We're in Matthew chapter 7. We are cruising right along. We are in verses 1 through 6. Oh, super great topic. Lots of people have written lots of books, lots of stuff on it. Let's read it. Judge not so that you're not judged. For with the judgment you pronounce, that's important, you will be judged. With the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Why do you see the speck that is in your brother's eye, but not notice the log in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when there is a log in your own eye? You hypocrite! First take the log out of your own eye, then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye. Do not give dogs what is holy. Do not throw your pearls before pigs. Let them trample them underfoot and turn to attack you. I want you to look at this section with me because we hear about it all the time, right? This whole speck and log, and we love to throw this at each other, like, take the log out of your own eye, right? Take the log out of your own eye before you mess with my speck. Listen, if you follow the logic on this, here's the truth. We all have logs in our own eyes. There's no specks, just for the record. Right? In comparison to what's in your eye, it might seem like a speck, but then when that person is looking to take care of you, they got a log. You see how that works? I mean, it's just, you have a log in your eye, I have a log in my eye. Right? That's what God is trying to get through to us. Everybody has a log in their eye. There's nobody righteous, no, not one, right? So we have to think with that. And when you think with that kind of thinking, then there's freedom in it, right? There's freedom because you know what? You're not going to go around trying to fix everybody else. Why? Because you need fixing first. We just all have a need for Jesus. There's not more of a need for Jesus and less of a need for Jesus. You all have a more of a need for Jesus. Everybody has a log in their own eye. And in comparison to that of other people, God's saying, it's a speck. Right? So when you're looking at all the faults of your brother, all the faults of your sister, right? In comparison to your faults, they are minimal in nature. So God just levels the playing field and says, here's the deal. Take care of yourself first. It's funny because, again, God looks at this from the perspective of sight. What are you seeing? Right? So when you're looking at somebody and you're perceiving something about them, Jesus is saying, hey, pay attention because your perception's probably off because of what's in your own life, right? What's in your own life. It used to be that they would say that people, you could tell what people were struggling with because they came out really loud against it, right? So if you were a liar, you came out hating lying. If you were a cheater, you hated cheating. If you were an alcoholic behind the scenes, you hated people who were drinking, right? The idea is there's all kinds of stuff that you and I struggle with, right? And before we can help other people, we need to make sure we have the right attitude and the right heart. But most importantly, that we have the right eyes. We have the right perception. When you and I get in arguments with each other, do you know what most of the time the problem is? We don't have the right perception. We're not viewing with the right eyes. We're not seeing rightly. Right? Again, you can have all the principles and you can have everything else right, but you're not seeing the situation the way that God is seeing the situation. So Jesus says here, don't judge, right? Because you can't do it right. Right? Because you can't do it right. You're not going to look at somebody and actually see what God sees because your perspective is off because of what you're going through. But he says something very interesting in this section that I told you to pause for, right? It says, for with the judgment you pronounce, right? Pronouncing is this audible, I'm saying it thing, right? It's not a inward, I'm thinking it thing, right? So Jesus is very clear here. The judgment that you pronounce on other people, that's what you are also going to be judged with. Not necessarily just the way that you and I think. right? Now, Jesus also says if you thought it, you did it, right? But there's something about this pronouncement. There's something about saying these words. It's why when you and I are arguing with each other, right? Why when we're at meetings, why when we're at what we say in those moments doesn't just get passed away. You know, there's a lot of things that can be breathed to light when you and I aren't treating each other well. And then we like to go back and we like to say, hey, sorry. But you've pronounced a whole bunch of things. In church, as we deal with situations, what we pronounce, right? So and so is being removed because they did this. Okay, you just pronounced it. Then that's the same way. As a church, you're all going to be judged. So think this through, right? If we're going to remove somebody from our church because they are a liar, and we announce that, we pronounce that, then guess what? We are pronouncing judgment over ourselves as well. Because we need to now go through and we need to remove anybody who is in a state of active lying and not repentant for it. Well, that's a hard thing to do. So it's why you and I tend to pick the bigger sins to focus on, right? But in any doubt, when somebody kills somebody robs a bank, when somebody commits adultery, all those kind of things, there's not much there. But listen, the pronouncement that you make over people, when you say, hey, I love you, but I can't be around you, that's a pronouncement of judgment that you are making on somebody. Guess what you're putting out there for heaven? Well, that's how God needs to treat you. Do you really want God to love you but not be around you? Right? I'm not saying that there aren't people that, hey, if I have a preference, God, keep me away from them. I don't want to be around them. But when you pronounce it to somebody, that's a totally different thing. You're announcing judgment on somebody. Right? We need to be careful in this whole section, right, about what we're doing. Be careful what you pronounce, no matter what the state of mind you're in. We love this court system where we say like, oh, they were distressed, so everything they did doesn't count. No, God doesn't have rules like that. Does God have mercy and grace and understanding? Yes. But does God let you off of sin because you were distressed? No, he doesn't. He made a way for that, which is Jesus. We make excuses for sin. God said, I made a way. I made a way through sin, in spite of sin. Lots and lots to check on and to think about and to chew on the Word. We will see you next time on the Word Expanded, the Gospels.